Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I have Sinhai with me. So we are again sitting in the park doing all this interview, having conversation, having fun here. So Sinhai, do you want to just give a quick introduction of yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Southpaw Chat, also known as Sinhai. I have a YouTube channel called Southpaw Chat, and then I do options video. I share about my options journey, my principles of life, I think, so on and so forth. I'm a Tesla bull.
Okay, so you say you are Tesla bulls, right? So of course the first question is, why so bullish on Tesla?
Why so bullish on Tesla? I think this story starts from me. I mean, my girlfriend has a bakery business, and then she handle the operation side of things, and now I handle the business side of things. So a bakery business is actually similar to a manufacturing business. Like your goal is just to ramp up production, and then you want to keep the factory running 24/7, and then churn out as much products as possible. So I identified two things that is very important that you have to do. And one is to minimize the time cost to produce a single unit of product. And second is to control the cost of producing a single unit of product. And then you try to design the workflow to be efficient, to scale up volume production. But once you scale up volume production, there are a few problems that you will have. How do you sell your products? You churn out so many products, but where do you sell it? So for my bakery business, for our bakery business, we end up spending a lot of marketing. So that's when I realized that Tesla they don't spend much on marketing, but then they have months of backlog orders that they don't even have the supply to meet up with the demand, and their goal is just to scale up the production as much as possible. Then I identified that in a manufacturing business, it's good to have vertical integration. So let's say Tesla cars, if they finally are able to scale up the production to meet the consumer demand, they can use the same manufacturing expertise to design a robotaxi. And then let's say even if they finish producing robotaxi, the batteries that are in the car can be used on multiple things. Then let's say for batteries, you are manufacturing the batteries and then taking from the suppliers also. So you are manufacturing it also. So when you manufacture the batteries, you can do it for the consumer cars first, robotaxis. Then when even robotaxi is done, you can do on battery storage first. Then after that, even in battery storage, you manage to replace the infrastructure, you can do it on the Tesla bots. So you just need as much batteries as possible. And then this is like a wonderful thing for a manufacturing business. It's like you have so much demand that you cannot finish. Like you just need to focus on production. Focus on production. And then you have so many channels, so many vertical integration. I think that's what is powerful, and I'm very bullish on the manufacturing because they are very efficient also. So after that I start to notice that, let's say Tesla take 10 hours to produce a Model 3, and then Volkswagen take about 30 hours to produce ID3. Then even in the cost, the gross profit margin of a car, they are about now 32 or 33%. I think other Ford and GM is about 10% over. In the same amount of time, Tesla car is about 6 to 9x more profitable in manufacturing than other car makers. Legacy one, not the new ones. Multiple fixed cost business for Tesla. Like what fixed cost? Meaning to say that the cost is fixed. Then we have the cars is fixed cost. Like manufacturing is fixed cost. Manufacturing is fixed cost. Full self-driving is also fixed cost. So now we briefly talk about full self-driving. So to me, full self-driving, my own personal experience, I will just share my personal experience because Elon Musk have OpenAI, and then I feel that the games I played last time, I only play Dota, and I feel that Dota is a very complex game, and then I was shocked to see that. So Dota is like a competition that people play for millions of dollars. Now the esports player is a thing. They earn millions of dollars. They are all millionaires. So those tournament champions, right, versus OpenAI bots, like AI bots, they trash them. And then that's when I realized that then I went to research why, and then they say that it's like the bots, right, they don't train in our time, they can simulate multiple scenarios, and they train against each other, and then they will just find better ways of doing things, and then they will just keep improving, like deep learning and neural nets and everything. Then it's like that's my first understanding that AI will perform any complex task better than human being. So to me, it's like I feel personally that full self-driving is like sort of solved. It's just the crazy edge cases that you have to like go and find, like, and then you get the data through driving miles and miles, and then you try to find out those scenarios and try to get the neural nets to learn. And then another thing I see stopping full self-driving, delaying full self-driving or delaying the inevitable, is regulations. So let's say if full self-driving is solved, then you have a business to consumer software that's sold at 12K. It's like where else can you sell for 5-figure software to consumers? Usually it's B2B, this is B2C. Okay, then let's go on to the pricing power. So another thing I noticed about Tesla is the pricing power.
Yeah.
Let's say I have an iPhone with me here.
Yeah.
The iPhone itself has brand mode. You pay for the Apple logo. You pay a premium over the Apple logo.
Yeah.
And then Tesla itself has the brand mode also. But let's say if full self-driving is solved, you completely change the way we think about car, and then the car is a totally different product category, and it's an asset, while other people are offering liabilities. Then won't you have some form of monopoly pricing that you can charge way differently from other cars? So other than you have very cheap cost of production, you have a brand mode, and then you have monopoly on pricing because it's a different kind of product, different categories of asset. So we use some form of analogy. Let's say I am quite bullish that like now that 4 giga factories are open, and then I believe that in the next 2 to 3 years they still can compound on 50% annual year on year.
Yeah.
So revenue is going to grow more than 50% year on year. Let's assume that it happens. And then we know that it's a fixed cost business, so expenses will not follow the same. So if you take a higher revenue and then your expenses is about the same, you're going to have a widening profit margin.
Yeah.
So if revenue is growing at 50% year on year, profit will grow more than that of revenue year on year.
Yep.
And then we are compounding, we're having a CAGR of 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%. So that's just on the manufacturing side. I believe that manufacturing will go 50%. So what if full self-driving is solved? Or like you scale up the other things, the transport as a service, you build up more superchargers, like a lot of vertical integration. Yeah, so that's what the questions I ask myself. Then when you solve full self-driving, you enable robotaxis. Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of form of revenue will come in. And then I think the growth is quite bonkers.
I want to ask you about Tesla bot because we haven't reached there yet. So maybe you can share a bit more. So.
In manufacturing, it's important to have economy of scale.
Yeah.
And then I think like Tesla will have economy of scale no match to like nobody can match.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then questions like we will go to the Tesla bot. Okay, so where will Tesla position themselves in the future? So I went to study, like, let's say you increase 1% in consumption of energy, how much will GDP increase? So GDP will increase 0.59%. So we know that in our world GDP now is $90 trillion, give and take. 85% of this 90 trillion economy is built by fossil fuel infrastructure. But if you want to increase your GDP now through the increased consumption of energy, you cannot do so because the fossil fuel is finite, and if you increase the supply by too much, then your supply of fossil fuel will dwindle, and then the cost of energy will be very, very expensive. So this is a problem I see, and then I feel that, okay, let's talk about the cost of energy first. Why the traditional cost of energy is so expensive? You need to have an oil exploration team. You need to have machinery distilling and fracking the oil. Then you need to have petrol bowsers to transport them. You need to have storage tank, and then you need to have petrol stations, and then you need to build storage tank below also. Yeah. So these are all very heavy infrastructure-based capex that you have to spend. But it is not sustainable. So I see a world where clean energy will have to first replace this 85% infrastructure. To me, I feel that it is not as expensive as building up the 5 things I just mentioned just now. It's about lowering the cost curve of batteries, and that's what Tesla will do. And then you deploy them, and then you capture whatever, the hydro, the solar, the nuclear, whatever. Then you will lower the cost of energy. And if you scale out enough battery storage, you will have abundance of energy. So energy will come cheap, and there will be abundance of it. So this I did a study also. When we advance into a new age, right, things will always change. Like, let's say when we discover fire, we are able to use fire to cook cleaner foods. So our brain can expand in capacity, and let's say our population can double. When you double population, there is more work to be done, then more productive people. So after that, after this discover fire, we domesticated animal for labor and food. Once agriculture gets better and better, not everybody have to work on agriculture, so people can work on other things. And then economy will just like exponential growth exponentially. It's called like enter a new age. And then we industrialize with steam engine. So every time we find new ways, let's say steam engine, all this, we find new ways of lowering cost of energy and then having abundance of it. We will enter a new age, and that's like how I see Tesla will play a role in the kind of environment. Then they will first replace that infrastructure for the 90 trillion economy, and then they can expand it. Then let's talk about the Tesla bot that you wanted to know. So when you have, again, where we have cheaper energy and then abundance of energy, and then you have automation, your Tesla bot can tap on all this stuff, and then again, like theoretically, Tesla bot don't have to sleep, don't have to eat, don't have to take vacation, don't have to have benefits. Like I think employers will start to realize that like it's far more important to hire a bot than a human, and then we will have like this age of abundance, or like when there is no, I feel that when you have clean energy and then the abundance, infinite supply, the theoretically infinite supply, then Tesla bots can tap on all this, and then they can replace our work and then or like do additional work. Then you're gonna have very very cheap manufactured product, labor, everything. So I ask myself this question: in this kind of clean energy automation economy, how much will Tesla be worth? Because I know that in industrial age, economy will double every 6.3 years. I assume that machine intelligence revolution will be lower than 6 years. So let's say 90 trillion double to 180, then double to 360. Then how much will Tesla be worth in that kind of environment? Then I see the leaders, I just see maybe execution risk, which we'll talk about it later. Then to me, it's like, is Tesla bot viable? I quote this from Elon. Like he said that AGI for cars is going at 100 km per hour, and you have to solve all these crazy edge cases to solve full self-driving. And then Tesla bot is going at like 3 miles per hour, like 6 point something km per hour. Theoretically, you can vertically integrate, and it's actually theoretically easier to put AGI. It's just like you have to know what work to do.
All this AGI, right? I think Elon Musk also shared that in order to solve full self-driving, they need to solve the AGI first, right? Artificial General Intelligence. How long will it take for the car to drive itself without human intervention at all?
Honestly, this I am not so sure, and then I don't like to answer questions that I'm not very certain. But I look at Dave Lee's interview and against James Doma, and then he have FSD beta. So he's talking about like he himself feel that FSD is soft. Like people like me, for example, I look at AlphaGo, I look at OpenAI, and I know that this is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. But maybe an estimate I could give, probably in my own assumption, how I plot I don't really plot, I buy the solving money problem. I see maybe 2023, 2024. I'm actually quite conservative.
Just now you mentioned a lot on all these like different area that Tesla will work at. For example, like all these EV and then solar energy solutions, right? And Tesla is not the only companies that's in this field, right? For example, they are competing with other EVs, and then there are other companies that doing all this solar and so on, right? Any comment on with regards to competition?
Again, I emphasize that manufacturing business, you need economy of scale, and then you need the right team. But primarily we talk about infinite game theory. Like we know that people are very very driven to work in Tesla. They want to accelerate the world to sustainable energy, and then the work ethic there is like I think it's just different from any other normal corporate or any other companies. In manufacturing, there needs to be vertical integration. So let's say solar is solar. Like some people like solar is solar, car is car. They don't really vertically integrate. So I see Tesla have complementary product that using the same amount of raw material. So again, I emphasize that manufacturing business, what is fixed cost is the labor is fixed. The space is fixed, the gigafactories are fixed, and then the machineries are fixed. So your only variable output is your raw material. So the same raw material, the batteries can be used to do so many things. And then like once you get good at doing certain things, it's like you just like, and then you don't give, you don't slack, you will keep improving. And then other competitors, they will have to figure out how to figure out the supply chain, figure out this, figure out that, figure out the manufacturing process. And like I think very cliche that everybody keeps saying the prototypes are easy. Mass producing is hell. I think it's like that. It's just like these are the things we have to ask other EVs, other solar product. What manufacturing is very hard. I would say. Like I myself Yeah, it's like
You went through.
Like it's like if one person like that, if you have to think about the whole design process. Like it's not as simple as people think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Based on experience. So I think I had this conversation with Eric, or like maybe I did it with his video. Now I asked myself this question: okay, if we can travel, let's say if you can travel back in time, you know, travel now that with the knowledge you know now about Apple, Google, Amazon, all this, do you think you'll be rich if you travel back in time and then you have the knowledge you know?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, right? So to me, like one way to get rich is about anticipating the future and then having come up with a best guess of the estimate. And then you give logical reasoning, evidence, and what to back up your thesis. So if you know the future, that's the way to be rich. And I feel that my reasoning is not flawless, but my reasoning is like I feel logical logical. And like, I try to dig out the absolute truth and try to like reason from there. You know, what's the most important things.
Another follow-up question, I need to ask this about valuation, because you know, for people who don't invest in Tesla, or even for people who invested, they will recognize that the valuation is not cheap because this is really I have to say, from traditional financial metrics, you look at all these PE, price over sales, look at the margin, and then they might conclude that the company is not that cheap, right? My questions to you is, what's your view with regards to valuation? Like, how do you convince yourself that their current price is actually cheap, right? Or reasonable?
So this valuation thing, it really depends on where you stand. What is your viewpoint? If you are viewing it from the future standpoint, it's definitely going to be undervalued. If you look at it from now the point of view, it's going to pay premium. Like, there's so many things in the stock market, so many businesses in the stock market. Some companies are losing money, some growing at 10-20% compounded CAGR. Then Amazon was growing at 30%, if I'm not wrong. And let's say Tesla grows at 50% and then they keep their record up. Then are people going to pay a premium over it? Yeah. So in that sense that if they keep up what they do, they are always going to be paid a premium, and people are always going to pay a premium. So in that sense, they will be always overvalued to other people's eyes, but not in my eyes, because I am quite confident of where they will go in the future. Yeah, but it's just how I think. Let's say if they maintain the 50% CAGR, okay, so two things will happen. It's either the stock price follow, or there's a PE compression. And then if PE compression happens and then it sort of like compress for very long, over time it will be undervalued. So that's how I see it.
The management has shared that they will grow at 50% for the next few years. So this is shared publicly. My question is more like, not saying let's say 2022 or 2023, I think no problem. We can see that they have this kind of output, right? But the question is more on, let's say 3 years or 4 years later, they might be already generating or producing, let's say 3 million car a year or 4 million car a year. Can they actually still grow at, let's say, even 30 or 40%, right?
So manufacturing, we are like, I think you and I are quite confident that the next 2 to 3 years they can grow at 50% revenue. Like, grow in terms of the car, then the car itself is the revenue. So when this happens, then the next thing will be like, what if they solve full self-driving? And what if they have a dedicated robo-taxi service? And then and they scale out the various transport as a service support. Here got revenue, there got revenue, the insurance, the supercharging, the service centers. These are the additional revenue that will keep up the 50% CAGR. I see robotaxi as a recurring revenue, and if you scale it out, I think it's one of the biggest indicator that Tesla can grow 50%, more than 50%. Yeah, so my conclusion is the revenue manufacturing will guarantee 2 to 3 years. Then the rest, maybe FSD, robotaxi, other part of scaling will take over.
Of course, we need to talk about the risk as well, right? Yeah, my question to you is that, do you think that China will pose a significant risk to Tesla? Or if not, right, what are the main risks that Tesla is facing now?
Am I concerned with China? Yes and no. But yes, in terms of, but it's like I cannot really do anything. Like, you cannot really guess what they're up to. Our own interest is like, what do we want, you know? So I will think in terms of like what the China government wants. But as of now, I cannot really give you a solid answer. So, and I don't feel like I have to worry about things that in Chinese like 未知数. If they ban FSD, I don't know. Like, if they like don't allow FSD, then the whole China market is so big. Yeah, then like it affects. I would say. Yeah. Okay, then let's talk about other risks that I feel is more devastating to me. I think that one is execution risk. I think if FSD is not solved, right, you will not have FSD. You cannot sell the software, it's most expensive software. You will not have robotaxi, and you certainly cannot have Tesla bot. So I think this is the very important thing that we have to keep out. Yeah, I mean, I will keep a lookout at. But I give it a thought that like, what company can do this? You know, like be so innovative, and then you need to have a company that's playing the infinite game theory, like where everybody is incentivized and motivated to the mission instead of like 人与人之间的 like 那些 ego 啊什么什么之类的. And I thought that like a leadership with the track record to do impossible things, you know, like landing rockets, all this, and then like the crazy drive to like push things, you know, push things. So I'm not so super worried, but like that is my key concern. Let's talk about another risk. I see that the world has increasingly become more and more fragmented. I think we just discussed just now that it's going to become a multipolar world. And in multipolar world, people might raise tariffs on each other, you know, like supply chain, all this like raw material. Like then I might not want to import your car, I might not want to export my stuff. Then there is a lot of this kind of things going on. One of the long-term risks I just discussed just now with you is I feel like the reserve currency risk. I see US as a declining power and struggling with debt, and they might need some kind of like debt restructuring, and things might not go so well. And then I'm not so sure if investing in companies in the long term on a company that is listed in the declining power, like what will happen. So these are the questions I ask myself. Yeah, these are the risks I see.
Since when you have invested in Tesla? Is it like long ago?
I was mostly in the SGX market for some reason because I was not exposed to a lot of things. The learning curve is steep, but I just learn. Before that, I invested in another company, like SGX one. It's called Kimley. Kimley was like an investment thesis for a year, and I needed to look for some other things. Then I came across Chicken Genius teaching about options, talking about Tesla. Then I'm like, how do you value a company that is like this kind of valuation, you know? Then I went to deep dive a bit. Then after connecting the dots, then I came to the conclusion. So it's about 2020 or 2021 when I started investing in Tesla. Yeah.
So I just want to switch gear a bit to talk about your life and your career path. In other videos, you mentioned that you didn't attend university. Walk us through your journey. Like what leads you to this kind of path that is, I would say, unconventional and different from most people's?
So I shared with you just now that when I was young, when adults asked me what I want to do, people want to be policeman, fireman, doctor, lawyer, whatever. To me, I always like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to like be a businessman. So my natural course of action is I take accounting, then I went to business school in Polytechnic. But after I started to realize that they are teaching like corporate governance, accounting, like HR, or things that are like business administrative. It's not like how do you run a business, you know? How do you run a business is very different. Like how do you hire, like where do you find this, where do you find that, how do you establish a relationship with, it's not business, I would say. Then I become very like a bit sad and depressed that why am I here? Like there's no like, and I think people don't see the way I see things. I think I was naturally good at like accounts and econs. It's like it's quite natural to me. But yeah, I just, even though like those things I can do good in, but the other things is like, it's like I feel like I can hire other people to do it. So like why am I here, lor? So that's when my question comes up. So I feel that what I was learning was like I'm just a cog in the wheel, like the whole corporate structure. So I'm not really that interested. In the end, I didn't even finish poly. I dropped out of poly, and I just went to have my own path. Then because in Singapore, certification is very important. Like there was not much things I could do, and it was like quite a very tough and excruciating journey. But like it's like there's like literally no way unless I have a good like savings and then I compound from there. Like say 100k, then maybe you compound 10 to 20%. Then it's this like at least there's something, you know. Like yeah. Instead of like, because your salary is going to be very little, and then you have to make use of opportunities that come along you in the way, let's say the society. Like when you work in the like 出去社会做工, then it's like you, let's say I was like a bartender or what. Then I came across Japanese whiskey, and then I always see Japanese whiskey selling at premium. So after that I was like, okay, why not I just fly to Japan and see. And then I realized there's a price arbitrage. And then I realized that this is a good alternative asset class. Why is it a good asset class? Okay, let's say in the example that you think in terms of the Japanese perspective, they run a distillery. So you want to age a whiskey, right? You have to age it for like 25 years or 30 years, right? You have to, these are fixed costs you have to keep there, and then you don't touch. So it's very bad for business cash flow. So we rewind back in time, like let's say Yamazaki 25 years. 25 years back is about the 1998 period, 1998. Those is they are going through a lost decade. They are having, like Asia side is like no, like a lot of crisis, AFC, all this, but I don't think they are affected. But like in general the whole market is quite gloomy on the Asia side of things, then you cannot age so much whiskey for the future, you know. So what happens is at 2003 or 2000 something, they start winning a lot of awards for best whiskey in the world, even beating the original people in Scotland. And then the price starts appreciating like crazy. But they had not enough supply to meet the demand. And that's when I realized there's an opportunity there. Then they are on average the whiskey prices just skyrocketed. Yeah. Then I took part in that, and my goal was to trade whiskies and become one of the largest private seller in Singapore. Then I think I'm one of the top 3 or top 4 private seller last time. Yeah. Because I managed to secure a source, and yeah.
Like, what's the business doing? Like, you look at the price go up, and then do you have to like store the whiskey, or is it really just trading, buying here, selling there, and then just earn the spread? So what's explain to us the business model?
The whiskey will appreciate in price if I just let it sit still, and it's a non-perishable good. Let's say I fail to sell, this thing will appreciate in price over time. But my goal is just to sell it as fast as possible, take the cash, then go and get it, and just like just keep going, like, you know, business stuff. Yeah, just like earn the spread. Like, there's difference in the spread.
Then on the spread, like, just curious, right? All these arbitrage, are they like really stable, or is it like just one off? You have a spike and then you just earn, and then it might not there. Let's say 6 months later, right? What kind of dynamics in there?
So there is currency risk. Yeah. So what I will do, like share part of it. The other part I won't share. So I will wait for like yen to be like SGD is very strong against yen. Like, I will just trade one shot, buy a lot, then I will go and take them, take the whiskies. So I just rush to my first 100,000 now. Whatever I do, then I know that 100,000, if there's a GFC level kind of crisis, like COVID kind of crisis, I park my money there. There's a good chance that I can get asymmetrical return. Yeah, so that's what I did. Yeah, then so I did it from Kibli, and then it went up. So that's why I ended up having like 176k, and then I invested in Tesla and trade options.
My closing question is that when you look back your path, right, since let's say drop out from school, that was like around 10 years, right? I just want to ask, like, do you see this as a source of strength, or do you see this as something that's handicapped you? I mean, at least for people who might considering drop out, right? They might want to listen from someone like you, right?
I think don't drop out. Don't drop out. Really, it's very tough. It's really tough. But then, like, of course, like, is it source of strength? I would say yes, because like you have to go through a lot. Then you I think this is what a lot of people in this age won't go through. What I go through. I can only say this after I realize, like, I do more like research on like things, you know. Like, to me, it's like people spend 30 to 50,000 on a degree. Let's say you have a cohort of 100 to 200 people learning the same set of skills. What differentiates you is the grade. You know, there is no like clear differentiation. Not that what I went through was easy also, but because you will meet all kinds of people, people that are lazy, or like toxic, or like very good people, like all sorts of people. Then you have to identify opportunities. When you go, like, you 早一点出来社会，你可以 identify opportunities. I think my nature is I'm quite competitive. Then dropping out, and then it's like I was like, okay, how am I gonna go through all this? So I have to solve the money problem, and I was just obsessed with like thinking about the wealth game, you know, how to like solve this problem. So I think of it as more of a positive than negative. Like, it's more of a source of strength than at hindsight, you know. But during the period was like tougher. Thought of it like this way, like I see a lot of people that are like intellectually they are more, academically they maybe are more superior than me, but most of them become marginal member of society. But it's very offensive to say, but like, not offense, but like what I feel as what is the reason for that is because you are not courageous. We are not courageous enough. Most people are not courageous enough to take risks. To take risks. And then I think school condition us to have the certainty mindset. You know, you go through primary school, secondary school, JC, or any tertiary education, poly, ITE, then you go university. We have this set path, like there is where to go. But then adulting, there is, like, I think more of us will agree that there is just uncertainty. Like, you just said that, okay, figure out as you go, you know. There is adult uncertainty. I think that's what I learned from. I think I myself experienced a lot of uncertainty, and then I look at Chicken Genius saying that you have to be comfortable with uncertainty, and then that, like, I double down on that. You know, that's why I trade options and everything. Like, options is very uncertain. It's a probability game. This forces me to have no backup plan at all. And then there is no safety net that there is just do or die. Do or die, So again, I don't advocate for anyone to be like me, but if you want to be like me, you have to like be very disciplined, and like you have to like people, be having people, take opportunities, identify opportunities. Okay, but I believe we are all product of our environment. I think environment is very important. I think why I become like that also is because of my environment in my childhood. Then I have to, let's say people are not super wealthy around me. I mean, like not even wealthy, not even like not even meeting the month-to-month requirement, like they're struggling, Then it's like, to me, I have to like develop sort of like independent thinking. Like it's either you cannot trust what other people are telling you, basically. Then you become like, so I also developed into a very like high performance, low trust kind of person. Like I don't really agree with a lot of things, and I have to develop independent thinking, think about the whole world as a system. And I maybe if you want to talk about the system, next time I can share with you, or you want to talk about here also can.
And let's talk about it.
Okay, so you have to understand everything. Let's say that everything. Financial system. Okay, what is money fundamentally? It's a medium of exchange, store of value, unit of account. We used to not need money to live our day-to-day life because we're hunter-gatherer, things, take things, pack things, eat. But when we become agriculture, then there is a lot of goods and services. You have to exchange it, so you need a medium of exchange. And you need something that can store, have scarcity. Hence, money is a store of value. So I think gold acts as a good store of value because of the chemical component. It doesn't erode, doesn't corrode your skin. It's not poisonous. It's room temperature, and then it's not just because it's solid in room, not just because it's shiny. It's like the reason behind it. So gold and silver was the money, and then bankers started being greedy, and then people deposit their gold inside the gold vault, and then they issue paper currency, fiat currency, like IOU lah. IOU. Paper. And that's what government did also. Then they slowly inflate the value of fiat, and then over time, a lot of these people get hanged in history lah. 1913, the Bretton Woods Agreement, or whatever nonsense. They needed to facilitate world trade. World trade, and everybody prospers together. Deposit the gold inside US. Then 1945, or I think First World War itself. Then they stopped. Like there's this gold standard. They go at it, and they on and off. I think in 1971, Richard Nixon, like a lot of people start to want their gold back. A lot of they start realizing that why you keep printing money. You say like this, $20 equals 1 ounce of gold, $35 equals 1 ounce of gold, becomes like you keep printing it. Then it's like people want their gold back, and then they start saying that okay, we just take away the relation to the gold standard, and that's when credit, like debt, just like go crazy. Debt becomes the real form of money. That's the case. And then your whole framework of money should change already. Like you shouldn't save. Why you save? You save money when other people are printing it faster than you can save. And then that's the whole lie that I've been told. Like it's not conspiracy theory. You just have to connect the dots. That's after that I realized. I go through so much and nobody teach me. But then after I started realizing you need to have a high income scale. High income scale. Then you scale that. You build a system to automate, scale it, or have what. Then after when the system is stable, you introduce debt. When you have you show bank that you have positive cash flow or whatever, then they introduce you cheap debt, then you expand, and that's how you really get rich. You use other people's money that is printed because it's not backed by a finite amount of quantity. It's not money. Fiat currency is not good SOV. It's not a good store of value. Okay, then all these people. Then I thought of it in terms of this way. Like capitalism existed for so long, and then we know that with time, capitalism will cause drastic wealth inequality. Then where is all this money from last time, the 500 years? They have to be silent about it. Like if one person discovered the gold mine, how do you keep your fair share? How do you keep almost everything? You hire 2 person to manage, get a high salary, and then you hire 8 person under you, right? Then they will fight among themselves. They will not care about the gold mine, don't care about the real truth about anything. And I find it very kind of disturbing in a sense. That manufacture cheap stuff, cheap happiness, TikToks, potato chips, just give your cheap happiness. Then I lobby for healthcare, like the industry that you want the government to subsidize, right? Ends up becoming more expensive. Let's say especially for US, your education and your healthcare, you subsidize them, then they become very wasteful of resources. Then you need to introduce insurance to make healthcare affordable. Because I feel that government are not good capital allocator. Private entity, they are the ones that they have to do or die. If not, it's like survival of the fittest, then they will. Then you look at hospital, for example, they are so wasteful of all they take and then they throw. Like I ask myself, what is the cost of a hospital? Like it's just real estate, hospital bed. Then of course the professionals, they have to be paid well. But I feel that there is a lot of ways that you can reduce the cost of how you run education, hospital, this kind of thing. Yeah, lor, I think about the world a lot. Then I just like, okay, there's a lot of things that people should know the truth. I'll say, yeah. I think I tell Eric this, but I'm a bit like obsessed with the absolute truth. Yeah.
Quite interesting. I saw you when you get into one topics, you are not just just listening to the surface things, right? Really get into it, very details, and then make sure that you really understand it, right? So it makes you like a deeper thinker compared to just like average persons, right? You think a lot. I can see that now. Yeah. All right, then we come to the end of this interview. Thank you so much for your time. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe, and let us know that you want to see the next follow-up interviews. Okay. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one. Bye.